You guys, I did it again. I headed over to Goodwill, and if you've been following my journey, you know I promised myself I was going to stop. I'm Kathy with Waste.Not.Upcycled. I'm a full-time teacher and a part-time reseller and upcycler. In today's video, we're gonna take some of the thrifted items that I found, and we're gonna upcycle them into fun home decor.
I originally headed over to Goodwill just to get some basket footage, but I completely got sucked in.
Okay, so as I had mentioned, my intention was just to get some footage of baskets and maybe find a couple baskets here and there. I found a whole lot more and I really only spent $30, so I'm gonna take it as a win. So let me go ahead and share some of those items with you. Everything was 20% off. That's how they sucked me in. And they actually had some really good items for decent prices. This first one, it's a tiered 3-step plant holder. I got this for $3, you guys. I'm debating if I'm gonna keep it black, maybe patina it, or if I'm gonna switch it up white. Either way, I love it. Not sure if I'm keeping it or not. Another item that I'm super excited, because I've had a project, and this one I'm gonna be doing today, is this basket. I've been searching and this was super cheap. It was a couple dollars. I have some paint inlays and I can't wait to show you what I'm gonna do with this today. And I did end up finding a couple more baskets, or one more basket. So this one I grabbed, this is an as is. I don't think I'm gonna do anything to it. This was $2, 20% off. And then I love getting my faux plants. I always recommend going, no matter what resale store, to check out all those faux plants. I grabbed a bunch. Grabbed the tulips that are hot right now. This one was inspired by Connie, as well as another item. I'll pull this at the same time, at the Painted Photographer. If you are not following her, I highly recommend it. She makes the most beautiful rice papers and has such great taste and style. So anyway, she has an awesome upcycle for these, and I just was so excited when I found it. I mean, I used to have so many of these from back in the day when I think it was like baking bread and stuff. Got rid of them a while back, and now I love her garden idea. So grabbed that for $2. Okay. This did not have a price, so the lady bundled it for 99 cents. I mean, there's so many cute little faux plants that I could pull out of this. And then I'm always looking for good vase fillers. I love this one. And this was also $2. And then my last floral, these smell amazing. $2 for all of these. It doesn't, I was gonna see if it had the actual original price. Brand new, love it. Okay, so this is gonna be an upcycle, I think, in today's video. I have some ideas with it. It's just like a really cute primitive birdhouse. I know it has a lot of extra stuff that I need to figure out, but I think this will just like maybe get a little bit of paint, and then I'm gonna be working with paint inlays today. I'm excited about that. These two, I'm not even gonna paint them or change them. I'm gonna go ahead and add some spring to them, upcycle them that way. They were 99 cents each, another 99 cents. I'm always checking out the cute, this is pottery, homemade, love it. And can't pass up those rolling pins. I actually am planning an upcoming rolling pin video, and it's not really necessarily focusing on the rolling pin part of it, although I have some ideas, but truly I'm gonna be chatting about other ways to display your rolling pins. So I grabbed this for that video. So that's something coming up in the next month. This is a quick one. I have a coffee collab coming up next week's video. So I thought this was perfect. It's a tin. And then the last item that I am excited to work on today, this was $3, you guys. Huge. I'm keeping this. So I'm in between when it's winter, I'm I'm not really working necessarily, or I don't want to store my paints, I should say, in my she shed. So this is gonna be like my perfect travel back and forth into my basement. So I'm gonna work on this, add a paint inlay, and I'm gonna show you how I do that. But I can't even believe it. I'm not kidding you, $3. Solid wood. Oh, I have one more item. Forgot about that. This last one. Okay. This too, you guys, solid wood, $3. So I'm not working on this one today, but this is an upcoming thrift flip. So let's get started on our projects.
So I'm finally joining in on the paint inlay party. This is my first time using paint inlays, and for all my projects, I'm going to be using them today. For my first project, I'm starting out with an apple basket, and my vision is that this basket has kind of that quilted look. So each panel is going to be a different paint inlay. So I'm going to go ahead and cut out all my paint inlay rectangles for the project so it's much easier to manage and everything's good to go. I'm just going to use this one as a template. For today's projects, I'm using the Lattice Rose Paint Inlay, which was a limited release, and it's available on a lot of creators' websites, so it's definitely still out there. And after using these, I definitely am going to explore. The new spring release had just come out, and there are so many amazing patterns. So I'm going to be getting my hands on those. These are very easy to use, although they are a little bit more costly. The fact that you can reuse them, which I'll share a little bit later, makes it well worth it. So I'm going to give you the basic 101 on using paint inlays. So just so you know what they are not like a transfer, they're not a decoupage. The IOD sisters were genius. They created a paper that had its intricate paint designs on that paper that could embed into your projects. Now, when you are getting your project ready to put it on, you can use either a chalk paint, a mineral paint, or you can actually use a top coat. For all my projects today, I'm actually using different fusion shades and a chalk paint, and I have not yet practiced using a top coat, so I'm curious how that would look. Now for this specific project, I wanted it to look quilted, so each panel is going to have a different color and a different paint inlay. So what I did first was I went ahead and I just did one layer and it turned out great. I did one layer of fusion paint, I rotated my colors, then I misted my whole paint inlay square, and I was very careful. You can tell which side has the paint on it. You want to make sure obviously that that paint is face down, and you lay it down. If you laid in the wrong place, you have a couple seconds. I don't know the exact time, but you do have some time to lift it up and move it around, which I had to do in some cases. Then I choose to use my fingers, so I go over the whole surface to make sure it's completely embedded. And you want it to dry completely. So all my panels have dried. It took about a half hour. I just let them sit out. And when they have dried completely, you are going to want to go back and mist it. And it's as easy as lifting up that panel. It is probably one of the most satisfying parts of creating that I've experienced. I'm absolutely in love with these paint inlays. Now, if for some reason you're having a little bit of trouble getting one of your areas up, it's a matter of just misting it. I let mine set for like a good 15 to 20 seconds just to soak in, and then peeled it. I'm always going for that distressed look. And one of the nice things about the IOD paint inlays is that they're reusable. So you can see that the paint color that I used embeds on it. So every time you use those inlays, they're going to have kind of a different look when they are, reused. Also, the more you use them, the more faded they're going to get. So you kind of have to keep that in mind for your later projects. But I already have a bunch of projects lined up. So here it is. These are all finished. I have more work to do. I'm going to go ahead and paint these up. I think I'm going to keep the inside how it is. I'm going to be painting the outer wood using Fusion Damask. I actually had to look up how to say it to make sure I was saying it correctly. But anyway, I like the damask color because it's like this vintagey rose, I don't know, kind of a mauve color. And I'm truly going for this like romantic look in my painting or in my creations today. What I picture this basket being used for is like a bunch of rolled up throw blankets or maybe some pillows. It could be in a bedroom. It could be in a living room, and just something cute to hold all those blankets. That's what I'm picturing. Here I am. I absolutely love to use old fabrics. I have, I think these were old curtains my mom had given to me that are lace. And then I have a shirt that has kind of that same like vintagey lacy look to it. And I'm just going to go ahead and shred and rip up a bunch of strips. So I do want to clarify, my mom did not give me those lace curtains to hang up. They were old and she knew I would reuse them in some way. I love reusing fabrics. In fact, one of my favorite things to reuse fabric for are hangers. And I actually have a YouTube video. I'll go ahead and put it down in the link, and it shows you how to create non-slip hangers. You do have to be advised. It was like my absolute first, one of my first YouTube videos, so it's kind of a hot mess, but it's a great way to reuse fabric. So as you can see, I just knotted a bunch of different size fabric strips on here, and I'm going to go back and cut them so they're all different sizes, which gives it more of a texture look to it. I'm sharing a very tiny sneak peek. You'll definitely want to stay tuned to the end to see the whole reveal. For project 2, I'm going to take this primitive looking birdhouse that I absolutely love, and it definitely needed kind of a facelift. So all these extra pieces that were hot glued on, I went ahead and carefully peeled every single one of them off. I knew what I wanted to do right away with those 4 panels on both sides of the top of the birdhouse. Just like I did with the basket, I was going to go ahead and use those paint inlays and give it that quilted look again. Paint the rest of it, I'm going to be using Sweet Pickins milk paint in window pane. So for milk paint, you just need to do a 1-to-1 ratio. So I'm using warm water, and then I'm going to do the same amount in the powder and mix it for a couple minutes, and then it needs to sit for about 10 minutes. So I'm going to work on the rest of the birdhouse while this is sitting on the side. I already cut out all my paint inlays. I'm going to be doing the same exact pattern, and then I'm going to be using the damask paint as well for the top of it in Fusion Paint. I'm putting on my paint inlays the same way I did for my first project. I'm going to go ahead and paint them. I'm going to do a quick mist on my actual paint inlay, make sure that the paint side is facing down, and completely rub over it, embed it, and then let it sit until it's completely dry. I will then go back and I will be spraying it before I peel up that paint inlay, and then I'm going to set those on the side because I'm going to be reusing them multiple times. I'm already thinking about all the different projects that I'm ready to recreate using some of those these same pieces of paper that I've already used. So for my booth, I'm thinking of some fun Mother's Day projects that I'm going to be recreating. I have a giant heart wooden, kind of like a wooden basket that I'm going to be doing the inside with it. I mean, I'm already ready to go. I'm going to be using these paint inlays quite a bit. I just love how they look kind of distressed and just so unique. I just love them. So I would love to hear your thoughts on paint inlays. Like, have you been using these since they came out, which I think was like 2021 or something like that? Or are these new to you as well and you're inspired to go ahead and use it? Tell me what you think. It's time to go ahead and, we're going to paint this. I'm going to do all of the edges in that same color. I really like the chippiness. I almost wish I would have kind of gone over just the chippy part of it, but I'm going to go ahead and do the top, bottom, and all around that wooden part, saving the face of it for the milk paint. After that's done, I'm going to go ahead and I'm now painting all the milk paint. I'm putting on pretty thick. I like the way it chips when it's a little bit thicker, and with milk paint, you just never know what you're going to get at the end. So it's always fun to see when you sand it off how it looks. I'm also going to paint the bottom with it. So I'm going to go ahead and paint the whole rest of this with the milk paint. Once everything dries, I'm going to go ahead and sand it up in all different places. So it has kind of that chippy, still that vintagey look to it. I really love how this piece turned out. It is adorable and it is going to look really cute in somebody's spring vignette. Again, I'll give you a quick sneak peek, but definitely stay tuned to the end so you can see how everything looks together. For my final project today, I'm going to be using that Caddy that I found at Goodwill, and I'm going to be using a different paint inlay for the inside of this. So I'm going to be using the other pattern that I've not yet used. And I love gray, so since it's for me, I'm going to mix these two shades of DIY gray. For this project, you're going to see that I am a newbie with paint inlays, so you can see a couple of my mistakes. So I started out strong. I went ahead and traced it out. And then I use this as a template, not thinking like, hello, for the other side, I'm going to need to flip it the other direction. So it worked out really well for the first one. What I'm going to do is go ahead and cut it out. And then I actually end up painting the whole inside one layer because I want it to be, a thicker gray where it's not see-through. So I let that dry. Once that was dry, then I put on my second layer of gray. This is going to be where I lay down my paint inlay. So I go ahead and paint it, and then I'm going to spritz my paint inlay, lay it on, and then smoothly make sure every section is touching that paint nice and deeply so that when I peel it off later, it's all embedded. Now for the second half of this, I'm going to do it at the same time. I kind of went into panic mode, and when I painted it and went to put my inlay down, I realized, oh my gosh, I made a mistake and I cut it out wrong. So I just took pieces of inlay and went ahead and embedded them on. It worked out just fine. I just say for future reference, make sure you kind of measure and cut. Let it dry for a while. I did this with both sides, spritzed it back down, and then once again, I'm going to go ahead and peel it off. Ooh, I really like this paint inlay. It has kind of like a Moroccan, like boho feel to it, especially with the gray. So I know I'm going to be reusing this on quite a bit of different projects. You'll notice it's different colors. That's because I use clay-based paint and it still has to dry. So the full effect will be kind of shown when everything's dry. I'm going to go ahead and do the same process on the other side. And one thing to remember with paint inlays is that they can be reactivated once they're dry. So you can play around with it. I haven't done that quite yet, but you definitely want to seal it when you feel like your project is complete. I'm going to be painting the rest of my project gray, and instead of sanding today, I'm going to be using Rethunk Junks, the prep. All you do is you simply spray it on. You can use like a Brillo pad. I'm using a lint-free cloth, and it preps your surface so that you can paint. It cuts out grease and dirt, and it helps it to stick better. I'll put the link down below to this. I love using it on small projects. I do have friends that use it on furniture as well. I'm going to paint the whole project, and I end up doing 2 layers all around. Once it's dry, you know I love to sand, so I'm going to go through and distress it in all different places because that's the look I love and that's the look I want for my piece. So it's done. I am going to be sealing all my projects today using Big Top. So here it is, the big reveal. Thanks for taking the time to watch today's video. I would love to hear your comments on the projects and your experiences with paint inlays. If you are not yet a subscriber, definitely hit that subscribe button. I'm really excited because next week it's going to be everything coffee. I'm creating coffee projects that are going to be pulled together into a coffee bar for a fun coffee house collab. Thanks for watching.